This episode of the Better To podcast is brought to you by Kitty Mystic and DM Needham, author of the Better To Burnout series. Today, I would like to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite places, Synergy Collective, a bohemian lifestyle brand curating wellness for the mind, body, home, and soul. Located in the heart of the Midwest, Rockford, Illinois. Inside the storefront and online, you'll find a beautiful selection of crystals and metaphysical tools, boho apparel and accessories, sustainable home and beauty items, books, candles, and other unique gifts. They also offer a variety of community events, classes, and workshops in their Rockford location, including some select classes that are taught by me. So I invite you to explore the collective at www.shopsynergycollective.com and use code BETTER215 at checkout for 15% off your first online purchase. Welcome to the Better To podcast. I'm your host, DM Needham, and today's guest is Dariann Leigh. Dariann Leigh is an up-and-coming country artist, and, well, we talk about how she has some very, very, and I don't want to use the word, but we're going to use a cliched because we talk about that, humble beginnings. Her town where she grew up in only had 713 people, and she wanted to be a country singer. She wanted to follow her dream. And we talk about how she did that, how she went from a small town in Minnesota to Nashville, Tennessee. So tune in. Hey, Donna from the Better To podcast here. If you've listened to my show, you know that it always sounds great. That's thanks to the guys at Third Ear Audio Productions. Third Ear Audio helps podcasters, broadcasters, musicians, and business owners get their important messages out to their audience. Rich and the Third Ear Audio team are easy to work with. They're efficient and understand that your message is important to you. With quick turnaround and the true caring of your needs, Third Ear Audio is your go-to for any audio message. Reach out to Third Ear Audio at 312-388-5596. Rich and his team will deliver for you. That's 312-388-5596, or you could email them at info@thirdearaudio.com or visit them on the web at www.thirdearaudio.com. Hi, Dariann. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. So I want to dive right in because I was reading your bio, and you come from a small town of 713? The true definition of a small town.
Yeah, like the genuine small town.
I mean, I currently live in a town of 9,000 people, and still people consider that a small town. But
right.
Yeah, so
a smaller city in like my perspective.
Yeah.
From more.
I mean, and here's the thing: you grew up in a small town. So when I was a teenager, I lived in Shreveport for a bit. From New Orleans to Shreveport, which was a culture shock all in itself. But to me, that was a small town. And I know it's not a small town now. But right. And I had big dreams about being a musician and everything. So for you as a little girl, growing up in this small town, I mean, and even being a teenager, how did that really push you to have your dreams and to pursue those dreams? Because it's the whole cliche, no offense, it's the cliche of the small girl needs to get to the big city to have her dreams.
It really is. And that's what I was going to say. It's like the tale as old as time. You're in a small town, you want to go to a big city. I think for me, the weird thing is that Nashville feels kind of like a small town, oddly enough, purely because I feel like everyone knows everyone. Now, granted, it is not at all a small town. It is, in fact, growing and flourishing like crazy. But when I came here for the first time, it was so ironic to me how much it felt reminiscent of towns similar to my hometown, where it's not like you're just being eaten by this huge city, like the city is a beast and you're just being eaten by it. Like it feels like you can like genuinely breathe in it, which I think is probably the only reason why I was able to like really make that huge transition, because it is a vast difference from what I grew up with.
Oh, I'm sure. And partially, I think the reason it feels more like a small town is it's because you're part of the industry. Because when I worked in insurance, everybody knew everybody. It's like you're on the phone with somebody else from a different company, like, oh, how are you doing? How do you like the job change? So I get it.
It's weird, but it does.
Mm-hmm. And it happens in a lot of industries, whether it be music or the corporate world. If you have enough people that you've been in the industry for a while, you build up that small town family feeling.
Exactly. Which is cool. I think it's special.
It is. It is. So you decided you were going to make this leap. What did your parents say about this? What did your friends say about this?
They're all very supportive, which I feel like if we're talking about like the typical Tale as Old as Time movie, somebody's always going to be begrudging on it, like not the biggest fan of it. I feel like I had the entire opposite experience of that. Everybody that I know has been, they're all very real. Like you're taking a risk. And we all talked about like the pros and cons of moving away from everyone and what that actually means, because it's not just moving here and writing songs and working on music every day. There's things that still happen at home. Like there's still life happening in all places. Everybody has always been so supportive of it though, and I don't know how it would have been to have struggled with people being not supportive of it, because I've had the exact opposite.
Well, and as you said, this is what people do not think when about the entertainer, the musician, singer, writer, whatever. You have real life to do. You still have laundry to do. You still have food to cook or go out and get
Right.
takeout. You still have all these mundane things to do. And sometimes that's a creativity killer because there's no
Right.
time.
Right.
So how
Which
do you
is,
go ahead?
oh, I just said that's so true. I'm sorry.
No, no. So how do you balance that out for yourself?
I would love to pretend that I'm an expert in balancing it out, but I definitely still struggle from the day to day with just balancing having an actively lived life. Like my apartment's a mess besides what you see behind me right now. Like everything else looks like I'm in and out in the morning and I have zero time to clean at night after making dinner or taking food out, whatever the situation is. So I try my very best. I typically do Sundays off, which I think has been exponentially life changing. Just to have a day where I'm like, no, I'm not going to commit to anything, at least for a set amount of hours. So I'm like, I'm going to just chill and clean up, throw my clothes in the laundry, or at least put my clean clothes in my closet so it's not just living strewn amongst my apartment. I try my very best, but I'm definitely far from perfect.
But then you have the whole experience of you've been on tour as a headline, well, not a headliner, but as an opening act.
Yeah.
So being gone for a certain amount of time, how do you negotiate that back into your life, your normal life? Because I mean, you're on the road and then suddenly you're back home.
Right. It is such a complete parallel from one another, too, because when you're on the road, you're just living out of your bags. And I almost kind of prefer that because I feel like I'm much more organized when everything is in one small space. It works out really well for me, but it is like you miss your bed, or just like as simple as your sheets on your bed and like your shower and the little things when you're on and on the road. But I love each of them. Whenever I'm home, I wish I was on the road. And when I'm on the road, there's moments where I'm like, man, I just wish I could sleep in my own bed.
I think there's a lot of musicians that go through that. They want, it's the whole adage of the grass is always greener on the other side. It's
Yeah.
like you want what somebody else has, but then when you get it, you don't really want it. So
Right.
it's the same thing with touring, I would assume.
Right. And I love both of them. Like there's fewer things that I love more than writing music and performing music. And each of them I love so much. But yeah, when you're in it, sometimes like you're in the thick of it and it's getting heavy, which I love. Like I love putting my nose to the grindstone and going to work. It's my favorite thing. But it does get tiring sometimes. Like the real talk behind it is the artist you're seeing on stage is probably a little bit tired, but you are the one that's energizing us to give you energy, which is it's such an energy shift. Like I give to you, you give to me. It's just a beautiful melody that goes on and on and on.
And I don't think people look at that, because I do energy work on the side. I read cards and stuff. And the fact is, I don't think people recognize energy as for what it is, and that you are actually constantly giving and taking energy. Even this exchange right here, we're playing off of each other, and that's
Right,
the thing. It's like when energy flows and you have a good rapport, good connection with your audience, and they're vibing, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna be supercharged.
right,
But and then that leads to another problem because then when you get off stage, then there's that void.
right. Like the come down from being on stage is wild sometimes for sure.
People don't understand. Most people don't understand the stage high. They don't get it.
And that is really what it is. Like people will ask me, especially like when I play downtown, like you're playing till 10, or I have friends that play till crazy hours, and they're like, what do you do afterwards? And you're like, you don't really sleep for a while because you need to let your brain process everything that you just did. And like, also you're exhausted. I at least am. I run my little butt across stage like I'm running away from things sometimes. Like I just love to run. It's my favorite thing to entertain. And I come home and I'm like, I'm tired. Like my body doesn't hurt yet. Tomorrow morning it will.
Hmm.
But like you're just tired, but like you can't go to sleep yet because your brain is so busy processing everything.
I mean, this is nowhere near that. But when my first job was, which was McDonald's back in the day when you didn't have all the accoutrements you have
Yeah.
now, I'd work till close, which was illegal. But, they let the high school kid work till midnight, which, whatever
Yeah.
we can get away with. And I remember coming home and it's like, I would put on, because I'm an 80s child, I would put on like MTV or night tracks and just watch music videos until about 2, 3 in the morning because I had to shut myself down, even though I was ready to go to bed physically.
Right.
Mentally, you can't.
Exactly. And it's almost like you're fighting what your body really needs, but your brain is like, I'm not there yet. You got to give me some more time. And that is something that I don't think a lot of people realize. But it's also like one of the gifts to what you get to do too. Like I get to go run around stage for however many hours or however many minutes, whatever the set is. And like somebody posted a TikTok the other day where I like, you see me look at them and be like, give me your phone. And I like grab it and I'm like running around filming stuff. And I was like, I get to do that for a living. And it's so cool. And if the cost is me losing some sleep, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you can always catch up on sleep when on your downtime. That's totally fair. So, back to the transition thing though. So the little town of 700. I mean, you're playing audiences. I'm sure in some cases when you opened up for like Big and Rich that were much larger than your hometown.
Yeah, yeah.
So how does that feel? I mean, I've heard stories where as a musician, because I've only played a small couple of places, but as a musician, you usually try to figure out a couple of people to play to try to get over that stage,
Mhm.
that large, the vastness of the audience.
Right.
So what is your trick to doing that? I mean, I know you're running around a lot, but you still
Right.
have that focal point, I'm sure, somewhere in that audience.
Yeah. I sometimes feel bad for the person that becomes like my focal point because I'm like, they're probably like, why is she staring, like looking at me so often? And sometimes it's fun, but like, I imagine like if I'm singing a sad song and I'm just like staring at someone, they're probably like, move your eyes just a little bit." But I honestly, it is that like you find your people, but also you find your groups. Like it is wild how you look at an entire sea of people and you can still see their groups and their people, and you can almost differentiate like who are the ones that just became friends just now because they're next to each other and who came with who. And it kind of just becomes this wild like everybody's just living in the moment. So I feel like I go from like people and groups to just like as a whole because it's wild not to. And it's I don't know, the whole process is crazy. I played a festival a handful of years ago that had an outrageously awesome amount of people. And it was the most unreal experience I've ever had in my life. It was wild and it was honestly really humbling though to be one person as well as your band, like a sole 5, 6 people entertaining a sea of people in front of you. It is wild.
I can imagine. And I want to say it's pretty amazing that yes, you have to keep track of what you're singing and you're running around, and yet you're still analyzing the audience.
That might just be a me thing
No,
too.
it might be, but I can understand that. It's like being in a room full of people and you're having a conversation, but your eyes are going all around. What's going on over there? What's
Right.
happening there? So I get it. I do. You also had a with your song "Leave." You were one of Apple's best country music songs of the year.
Which is wild.
Yeah, I can
It's like
imagine.
crazy. I don't know what to do with myself when things like that happen because I'm like, you put me on that? Like of all people, you put me?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what happened?
yeah. I had somebody the other day because I teach classes on the side for writing and stuff, and I had this girl tell me she's like, "Yeah, you're always so self confident," and I'm like, "Me, me?
Right.
I,
Exactly.
I must be doing a good job faking it."
Right.
because I think even as a performer, teacher, performer, whatever, you put on this air that you've got it together, but
Right.
yet internally, sometimes you're like, can I really do this? Because imposter syndrome, I'm sure, sometimes creeps in.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I know so many people that talk about that too, whether it's to a small degree or something that's really debilitating. It is very real too. And you do put on that air because you're the performer and you're having all this fun. But what I always tell people, it's like I'm showing up to a different form of work and it doesn't feel like work for me because I love what I do. But I'm showing up the same way that you're showing up. You're just seeing me show up and you're seeing my entire process, whereas I don't see your entire process. Like it's very humanizing to make things a little bit less extreme when people think about stuff like that. Like, do you get nervous? And of course you do. It's natural too. But I always tell myself like things are not nearly as deep as I think they are. And I feel like that kind of goes as far as like being in front of people too. Like it's not nearly as deep as other people might assume it is. Like I can be on stage and be super self-conscious about the note I'm about to hit, or how did I just say that? Did I just totally fumble the bag and sound like a goofball when I just said that just now? Like your mind is going a million miles a minute.
And I think that's the human experience. And
Yeah.
we put people that are in the entertainment industry on a different level. But
Yeah.
truth is, you have a really cool job, but that's you're still a human being. You're still going to have those same foibles that we all do.
Right.
I mean, I remember so the first time I played bass on stage, um, I played a note in the wrong arpeggio. I knew it. I knew I did it. Nobody else did.
Hmm.
Nobody, not even my bandmates knew. But yet I
Right.
was so in my head afterwards that I
Yeah.
screwed up.
And it like eats at you too
Mm-hmm.
if you for too long. And I think that for me, at least with playing downtown some, has been the most humbling experience because most of the time, what takes a second on stage or feels like minutes to you on stage is really only a second of somebody watching. And it's very humbling to be like, I did this thing though. And they're like, nobody noticed. Or I'm like, we got to move to the next song faster. And it's like, realistically, it's 4 seconds to that person. To us, it feels a little bit longer because you're in that different time zone, honestly, because you're counting time in music, which is very different than how time is running by for everybody living in that moment.
Well, and you also have the different experience now too, that
Right.
people are not necessarily always just in the experience because, as you said a few minutes ago, they have their phone. So what you're doing now is being recorded for however long posterity in some cases. So you're even being forced to make it another level up. I mean, back in
Mhm.
the day when you went to a concert, you weren't allowed to bring a camera. Of
Right.
course, yeah, you snuck in a camera, and there was many ways to sneak in a camera, but you weren't supposed to bring one. And
Right.
now they can't really stop you.
Right.
So you have to. I guess you always have to be in that mindset that I have to put on this A game. Otherwise, what if somebody catches it?
Right. I think it's if there's those off moments, I feel like it makes me more human to other people because then they can see that, like, oh yeah, so she is out of breath. Like right now, sitting there and she went like this. She's definitely out of breath and she's a little bit tired, but then she got up and ran to the other side and it kept going. I think it just makes it human, but there is a lot of unflattering photos of like faces I make when I sing sometimes that people have posted, and I've been like, that's not the best one, but thank you so much.
I don't know why people do it either. It's like, I'm doing my best. What did you think?
Right.
You think I'm going to be perfect all the time? I have to hit
Right.
this note. My mouth's going to contort. Sorry.
And sometimes my eyes are closed, and it's like sometimes we're having so much fun that we got constant stank face going on because everything sounds so good, and you're just like, I can't help it. It's it's just life.
Yeah. And that's the thing. As long as you're genuine, I think that's one of the biggest things as an artist. If you're genuine, people know that. People will see that and they resonate with that. So you write your own songs?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I mean, I see the guitar in the back, and I'm
yes,
assuming, and I know some people write their own songs, some people have help writing their songs, and so
right.
you write your own songs. When did you start playing, and when did you start writing your own material?
So I started writing really, really young, well before I even knew what the concept of writing a song was. So starting from such a young age, I then grew into actually learning the structure of what it is to write a song, not just diary entries that I put a melody behind. And I think I was about 13 when I picked up a guitar. I had played piano for quite a while before then and played percussion all throughout high school. And I just kind of felt like it wasn't filling the void of trying to write music. And I had gone to this open mic contest, and this girl was like, the best thing you can do is pick up an instrument. Just pick up a guitar. Just go do it. Don't worry about it. Just pick it up. And so I went and I stole my brother's guitar, and it just went from there.
Well, I had a musician once, a famous musician once, tell me the best thing you could do is play and sing. So
Right.
there you go.
We just multitask.
Huh?
We multitask for a
Yeah.
living.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the thing that we nowadays we do all multitask. It's just a matter of in the creative process, can you do it? And not everybody can play guitar and not everybody can sing at the same time because their mind isn't wired that way. And that's okay. But it takes talent. And I want to say that you, with having the percussion background, you basically, besides knowing how to play the guitar, can build your song from the rhythm section all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
Yeah. And really fun, honestly, to be able to look at people and understand what they're playing, but also be like, hey, can you maybe do this thing? And it's a language between people that play similar instruments that you can genuinely understand and you can articulate. Ironically, I couldn't even say you can articulate what you're trying to say with them best and what you would like for them to do. And it's perfect. Honestly, I don't really know what compelled me to choose to do percussion all throughout school because it's certainly not the smallest or the lightest instrument to choose to carry around from pep band to whatever else we were asked to do. But something something compelled me to do it.
it's okay. Sometimes we get tongue tied and, it
Or
just happens.
oh my gosh.
Sometimes it just happens. So, I want to ask you, what was the inspiration for 10,000 miles?
Yeah, that one was my boyfriend who is in the military and he was on a deployment. And I was actually in Nashville. I wrote it in a hotel bathroom. The acoustics are great, by the way. And it was honestly one of those, you hear about them every once in a while, like 15-minute writes, just sat down and poured my heart out because I was missing him. And you feel very alone when you're in those moments. Like nobody else can possibly understand what you're going through. And this is just so hard. And then you open up your eyes a little bit and take your head above the water and you're like, wait, there's a bunch of other people going through this exact same thing. And I'm most definitely not alone. And in releasing the song, I really, really realized that as well, because I've had so much of a response from it that is people that felt that way, that were also like, wow, I'm actually not alone in this. There is other people in my exact situation or something similar to that feel the same things that I feel. And it was really such a blessing to be able to release it when I did and to have even just written it because it was very therapeutic for me. I always say it was like a diary entry. It's very filled with every ounce of my soul, my body, and my spirit is in that song. And I think that's what makes it so relatable to people is because it is so real and raw.
And I think you touched on something there that we all think that we're the only one going through that experience. And I think
Yeah.
that's, if you go back generationally, you were not told to share those experiences. You were told to keep them bottled up and you were told nobody else knows what you're going through. They don't get it. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, I've been very open. I was fortunate enough when my parents split because I started acting out. I was like 10. My mom's like, oh, well, you're going to a therapist. Okay. So I learned about therapy at a young age and
Wow.
and I was okay with that. And I'm glad because it was a saving grace.
Right.
But ultimately, for my mother, she needed therapy and she never got it. So that's a whole different story. But the fact is, if you're open and you're willing to share, you're going to find people that have maybe not the same story, but they'll have
Right.
similar stories. Because I was talking to somebody the other day and they were sharing about their experience with COVID and how they thought they had lost their senses of smell and taste. And at the same time in 2020, I was going through the loss of my husband. And I said, the things we don't talk about with grief is we think about grief of a loved one. I had a friend lose her business. It burned down. There's grief of business. There's grief of loss of friendship. There's grief of your life as you knew it. but we don't talk about that. And even
Right.
even though your boyfriend came back and he's fine, I'm sure, there was still that grief part because we don't discuss it as grief. Missing,
Right.
we don't, but it's part of grief because part of our heart's missing.
Right. That's so true.
But we don't acknowledge that. We acknowledge grief as death, but there's so
Right.
many other forms of grief.
Right. That's so true. Wow.
Sorry to be.
Wow. No, no, that is so true though, is the thing. And I think a lot of people would feel very validated hearing that.
It's just one of those things where we don't think about it and we just keep going. So I take it he did come back.
Yes, yes.
But during that time, I mean, when you accompany missing somebody, there's a grief. You're depressed, you miss them, they're sad. I mean, those are all stages of grief. And so that's why I brought that up because I don't think we ever look really encompassing at grief as the bigger picture. We just look at it as somebody died. No, no.
Right. And it always goes so much deeper than that. And there's so many different levels of it too.
Hmm.
I think that for music for me has always been not even necessarily viewed as a career, but also just viewed as a lifeline. I write music because it's what I need to do to get through my day. And I perform music because it's what I need to do to exude and get rid of some of the different things going on in my head and whatever I'm thinking. And I think all we want as humans is to feel some sort of validation and to feel seen. And music is often a source of that.
For me as a writer, if I don't write for a certain amount of days, which it's been a month, and yes, I can feel that it's getting antsy that I haven't written. And it's like, as a creative, you have to do that for your soul, for your mental health. It doesn't matter if it's garbage. You still have to put
Right.
something down. You still have to play the guitar, something that's going to inspire your creativity.
Right. And it's exactly that. I was watching a video the other day about several different women that have had movies or cinema. They'd had their songs, singles had been in cinemas, like Billie Eilish with the Barbie movie, and the list went on and on and on. And they were talking about that exact same feeling. And I was like, wow, it's really cool to see that from many different scales and different levels that like as artists, that is what we crave the most, is just to like put pen to paper.
And I don't think people realize that because, at a certain point in schools, they're like, well, creativity is not worth anything, but it inspires the mind to think outside that box
Mhm.
and to give you a different perspective of maybe what's going on in your life.
Right.
So when we talk about blame it on me, well, where did that come from?
That one was actually, I've had the honor of, I've written many of my songs and I've written many songs with other people and I write all the time. But I actually had my producer send me that song. Him and his wife had written it. Their names are Butter, Mark, and Emily Fortney. And they sent it to me and I was like, did you know I was supposed to hear this in this moment? Did something tell you that this song needed to be sent to me right now, outside of the fact that we're trying to choose another single? Like, outside of the obvious, what made you choose that song? And it just felt like an anthem, but it also feels so reminiscent of that 2000s early country era. And everything about it was seriously like, I felt like I wrote it. Like I was a part of it, which I had the honor of being a part of it by putting my heart into what they put their soul into. And it's so cool to be able to release songs that other people have written on too. It's a very different and unique experience that I think sometimes can get overlooked because we always like to hear about the person that wrote the song. But it's also just as special to release somebody else's song too.
Oh, it is because then you're part of a collaboration. It's a continued effort. It gives you an opportunity. Yes, if you heard something snore, that was my dog. Sorry. Uh, but the thing when you collaborate with something, there's other ideas, and once again, we're at that process of we're outside that box. So
Mhm.
I'm showing my talent differently because it's not going to be the same. Even if you put your voice to it, there's still going to be something slightly different,
Right. Exactly.
and that's
You
kind of
bring flavor to it.
mhm, the magic comes there. It's
Right.
like there's something different. So if we look at "Let Me Go," you have this song about missing somebody. I think we have "Let Me Go." So where'd that go? Where'd that come from?
Right. Let Me Go was very much so a variation of past relationships. So 10,000 Miles was written well after that time frame. But I actually wrote that with one of the writers on Blame It On Me, Emily Fortney, as well as Sky Claire. And we were talking about the ridiculous experiences that we had had with people that we had been in relationships with and how they faced, you either faced being broken up with or they had faced being broken up with. And I talked about an experience that I had had breaking up with someone and very mutually, really, but how it can still get so dirty. Intentions can be as pure as you want them to be, but it's still emotions. And sometimes emotions are heavy and it's a lot. And we had all talked about all of our different experiences with that sort of a relationship and really just molded it all together and created that song, which I still am so proud of. And I love that song. And people still ask to hear it all the time. When I play it, people are screaming it. And I don't know, I feel like that song for me is like a song of the ages.
It's a good song. So I want
Thank
to
you.
I want to ask, are you planning on, I know you got a couple of dates locally there. Are you planning on going back on tour this summer?
Yeah, I have one festival right now that I'm heading up back actually to my hometown. It's called Kicking Up Country. I don't think they've announced who I'm opening for yet. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
And
And I that I'm really just writing my brains out right now.
so do you have a new record coming out then?
I have 4 singles slated for this year, and we're currently writing for next year.
I mean, that's the weird thing about the music industry now. It's like some people, they are still working to get the singles out to make a record. And then there's also the whole thought of it's a single generated business now.
Yeah,
So
weird.
it is. It is because then you're looking at how do you, when you start with your award season, is record of the year eventually going to go away or album of the
Right.
year, you know?
I think for people that want to do singles, it's like the best time to do it. But I still think there's a lot of appreciation for an album. Like, there's nothing I want more than my favorite artists to drop albums that I can listen to top to bottom, experience the entire thing, and then play it whenever I feel like afterwards and just listen to the entire thing and cycle through and backwards. And I still think there's a lot of appreciation for albums. I think it's just harder. Like for me right now as an independent artist, it's hard to do an album purely because there's a lot that goes into it. And singles are they're more dialed back than an album. But I'm wanting to do an album at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Well, and the thing, like you said, it's easier to do singles because a single only takes X number of amount of studio time, X number of
Mhm.
production costs. And just like being a writer, people do not think about how much money goes into what you're doing versus the payback of
Right.
what Spotify or Kindle is going to pay you.
Right.
They don't think
Right.
about that.
Not always as much as we like it to be, but
I mean, you could have a million plays, but that doesn't mean you're a millionaire.
no. One of my friends put something up there. They're like, I hit this many streams, I can go buy like this at the Target in the dollar aisle. Like,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah, for Kindle Pages, I don't know what the current amount, but I think last year it was like 0.0006.3 or 63, and it was like per page read. I'm like,
right,
why would I even bother doing that?
right.
But
It's
and
crazy town.
it is, and that's the thing. I don't. Once again, we have people that don't know the industry, don't understand that. Well, you're popular. You're making money, aren't you? You've got
Right.
songs that are streaming and they're popular. I remember working in radio, and the only time there was one week in a year where we had to list everything we played because then the artist would get paid.
Mhm.
And I don't nobody knows about that. Nobody, I mean, this is back in the 90s, but nobody knew about that. I didn't know about this. They're like, okay, this weekend you have to write down everything you play because we have to send it into the companies so the artists can get paid, the songwriters. And I'm like, okay, I didn't realize, but yeah,
It,
apparently that was the way it was working back then. I'm just like, fair enough.
I was old.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Because we don't think about those things. We don't, none of us think about that thing. And why do we have ads running into our streaming services now? Because they need the revenue to keep making more content and blah 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 blah.
Right. It's true.
So, what is your biggest desire as an artist? What would be your dream gig?
Oh my gosh. I dream to play the Opry. And in the capacity where like you're invited and it's the whole entire thing. I did a tour years ago and refused to step in the circle, and the photographer that they have on the tours is like, just do it. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like that's
Sacred ground.
an exactly, that's an experience for that time, not for me just like wandering around Nashville to be like, oh cool, I did it. Like that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's meaningful, but it doesn't mean nearly as much. Doing that would really just make my entire life, honestly.
Have you played the Bluebird?
I haven't, but I also really want to do that. There's just a list. I could go on for hours.
Okay, so artists that you would collaborate with, that would be your dream artist.
Oh, I love Carly Pierce, and her recent single is incredible. I got to see her perform it the day after it came out, and it was so beautiful. I also love Kelsey Ballerini. I'd love to do something with really nearly everybody in country music, it feels like. I also have people that I love to listen to that are not in country music, like Louis Capaldi, I think is incredible. And his voice is so emotional that if I had the opportunity to work with him, I think it would be the most magical thing I could ever experience. That's another thing that I could go on and on and on and on about.
But that's the thing. You have all these ideas of who you might get to work with, and the fact is, by putting it out there, you never know what happens. You never know how it might blossom into something. Um, hmm, there was something that popped in my head, and it sounds ridiculous because you already have a career somewhat, but you do have a career. I wasn't diminishing you, but
No, I got
I have talked to a couple people that have been on The Voice. So have you ever thought about doing something like that? And I know the bad side of The Voice and that stuff, but have you ever thought about it as getting your name out there?
yeah, I've auditioned for Idol, and then I've also been chosen by The Voice to do auditions at different times, and some of them have advanced to further steps, but it's not gone all of the way. Now it's been a little while since I've done it, and I think I'm much more established now. I think there's a lot of appreciation for stuff like that, especially for the exposure that it allows you to get, and the amount of people it puts you in front of. I'm not against it. I'm kind of right now just in the middle of trying to really establish my new sound and what I'm doing, but I would never say never.
There was a show called Rockstar in Excess, and there was a guy who actually the only reason he auditioned and got on the show was because he had a band called the Swinging Love Hammers. And yes, I know. And he only did it because he wanted to get the exposure. He did not want to win. So I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like even if you don't win it, it gets you out there. And that's why I brought it up, because I know some people that I've interviewed before have been on the show.
Right.
And like I said, I've heard the good and the bad, and that's with anything. That's
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
anything.
Everything is can be viewed very much so with like comparing, contrasting, and double-edged sword situations. I agree with you. That's with everything.
I mean, and let's be honest, Hollywood tends to have a little smoke and mirrors game. You're not getting the full picture of everything, and that's the entertainment industry. It's always been like that. And as
Right.
long as you go into it knowing that with your eyes wide open, you're safe.
Right. It's true.
I mean, I know, and there's so many different shows now because there's also, well, not X Factor, whatever it is now. I don't even remember. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
So
There's so many of them actually.
I know. Oh, America's Got Talent. That's what it is. America's Got Talent. So yeah, I mean, there's other avenues, but I don't think with your talent you're going to need that. It's just a way to get free publicity.
That is true.
So, what is the next single coming out?
We have this one slated for here this quarter.
Okay.
The first one, which I'm really excited about. We're getting everything fit for it right now.
So most likely, actually, it'll be out by the time this airs, because I think this airs in May. So it'll be
Yeah.
out by then.
If anything, close to.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. That's good. Do you
Yeah.
have a title?
Yeah. So the first one is called Bury Me on Broadway.
Okay.
Very female take on Morgan Wallen.
Okay.
Which is exciting.
So did you write that one or is this a collab?
I wrote this one with my friends Lenny Pay, AJ Gacio, Tom Tippin, and Tiffany Goss, they're some of my most favorite humans. They're incredible.
Awesome. So when you tour, are you planning on just being a headline for a couple of festivals, or is this going to be a little bit bigger tour for you? Or are you going to bounce a couple of tours?
Yeah, I think right now it's just a lot of opening up acts for festivals, and I'm kind of looking into different tours that we can start doing here this next coming up into the fall and next year, especially after getting all of this music out this year. I think it'll make a lot of sense. So there's a lot in the works. Some of it is kind of all over the place. It's still in that like trying to just figure out how we want to navigate it area.
And I don't think people think about how much work goes into planning a tour. They just look at it, oh, everything's gonna be fine. No, there's contracts, there's then
Right.
the contracts with the venue, then it's a festival. It's just yeah, I
Right.
get it.
It is a lot. And I've had my head down for a little bit, just writing music and kind of plan for it to be that way here throughout this summer, just really nose to the grindstone writing away. So I guess time will tell.
Well, and then by next year you'll have more songs out, and if you have a big catalog, then you have a lot to choose from, and and you can keep building your fans. How how much does social media matter to you?
Oh, I think it's huge. I think, especially in today's world, the access that you have via your phone is crazy, sometimes scary, but it is very crazy. And it is such a necessary tool at this point to use to your best advantage.
What is the craziest thing a fan has ever said or done to you?
Oh, this goes in so many different ways. um, Geez, I get a lot of weird DMs. I get a lot of weird DMs.
Hmm.
Sometimes there's occasionally little hate comments, which are honestly for the most part really funny because they're literally ridiculous. And sometimes it's like weird messages, and I get a lot of spam messages as well, which I can't figure out how to get rid of, but I'll delete them and get like 20 more in the exact same day. And I'm like, I don't understand how this is happening right now. But um, the weirdest encounter I've had is being in a bathroom, like going to the bathroom stall door closed, and this girl knew I was in there and was like waiting outside of the stall door for me to come out. And like told her spouse that I was in the bathroom and she was waiting to get a picture. And he was like, "Don't do it." And she's like, "I need to get a picture." And she's like waiting literally outside of the stall. And we all know how girls' stalls are. It's like you can see through the door. So I'm sitting there like trying not to make eye contact, literally stuff up, like come out, open it. And I was like, because it literally was the photo right then. And I was like, that was really wild.
I mean, she could have waited outside the bathroom to give you,
Right. Or like let me wash my hands
yeah,
even. Like
yeah,
nothing.
something.
She was very, very sweet, but it was very, very weird
Yeah.
and just absurd.
I mean, I've heard some weird stories. I had a gentleman on that had worked with somebody well known, and they had asked him, they're like, so what does he smell like? And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
what?
That's huge with male artists. People want to know what they smell like. I get that question sometimes too.
Th- but I've been around this person that he was being asked about, and I'm like, I don't even remember what he smelled like. It didn't matter to
Right.
me. It just.
Right.
And then there was
People
the. Go ahead.
people ask that when I'll be at like industry events and they'll see that I've met someone, they'll be like, "What did they smell like?" And I'm like, I wasn't like standing next.
I'm not gonna be. There was a Charlie's Angel movie with Crispin Glover who would like smell hair like.
Right.
No.
Like, yo, what cologne are you wearing? Like, what?
There's a some guys wrote in his bio that there was a fan that came up to him and said, I got your cold. And he's like, what? She goes, you did a press conference last time you were here and you were blowing your nose. And so I stole your Kleenex out of the trash can. And then yes,
No,
yes, yes.
I can't do that. That's too much.
I remember back in the 90s, I saw on eBay somebody had nicked Johnny Depp's cigarette butts and they were selling for like $700. And I'm like, And they had a
Crazy.
certificate of authenticity, which was basically him in another picture holding the pack of cigarettes. I'm like, firstly, here's my question. What are you going to do with the cigarettes? Are you
Right.
going to put them to your lips and act like you're what? Why?
I don't know. Whatever fits your fancy, I guess. Not I'm
Yes. Not
my
judging, just questioning.
right. We just have questions.
Some big questions unanswered, but still,
Right.
I can't think of picking somebody's Kleenex up or cigarette butts, and that's just
Mm,
skanky.
no, and also just crow.
Ooh.
Like, I caught your cold. Congratulations.
Yeah, what do you want me to say to that?
Normally you don't want to be sick, but I guess if that's what that person desired, they got their wish.
I just, why would you want somebody's cold? I don't
Right. Normally I'm like, you're sick,
say why.
I'm gonna go home and shower.
Yeah, I don't. Anyway, so yes, so not to make you feel a little bit better, there are worse stories
Right. Nobody's told my issues. Thank goodness.
that you know of.
True. That
Gonna have to carry a Ziploc around now and just
right. I throw them at my place.
it's just too weird. Anyway, now that we have gone off the rails on that one,
I love it.
so let me ask you. So your little small town was in Minnesota. So what's the weather change like for you in Nashville?
Oh my gosh, it's my parents were here 2 weeks ago and it snowed
Okay.
days before they went home and it was like 50s here and they're like, we're going home to a significant amount of snow. So it's typically a crazy drop. Recently, it's Minnesota had a pretty tame
So
winter for the part. So some of it actually, there's times where they've been warmer than here, crazily enough. But typically, it's quite a bit different. Tempo will be hotter here.
typically in New Orleans, it's like that. And I remember going down home to visit, and it was like -2 up here. And I have my leather trench on, and I'm all bundled up. And I get to New Orleans, and it's like 50, and they're all bundled up. And I'm like taking things off, walking around in short sleeves, and they're like, "Aren't you cold?" I'm like, "No,
Right.
this is warm."
Right. And that I feel like I've gone soft. I went out like 58. It's very nice and sunny out, but I was like, man, I really needed to bring a jacket. Like I ran to the grocery store and I was like, I'm a little bit cold.
I think our bodies change because growing up in New Orleans, I should tolerate heat. I can't handle heat. Heat's just like, We hit 90, and I'm like, I'm not leaving the house. Thank you. I'm just going to stay in my house, air condition on. No.
Right.
So, as a kid, I want to go back to one last thing. I like the statement on your website. It says, as a kid, I remember closing my eyes, plugging my headphones in, and listening to tracks, and ended up being the theme songs to my daydreams. I want to be
Mhm.
that artist for someone else. How, I mean, I can just imagine you as a little kid just envisioning this.
Yeah. Yeah. All the time. It has been my entire life. It is all I ever thought about.
So,
Watching Disney, holding a microphone, pretending to be whoever was on the Disney Channel or whatever I was watching.
so when people asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up, you told them you're a singer?
I think there was a while where I tried to figure out if there's something else that I wanted to do because typically, especially in the age that I was in, it's a lot, and I think it's changed even since then. College, like you need a job.
Yeah.
And I did go for a while and I left. I was there for a semester and I was like, this is not what I want to do. You know, you're oftentimes people ask you to get like a backup and not ask you, but they'll tell you you should, and you'll feel kind of like you have to. Like if you don't do the backup, then you have nothing and you're just gonna ride out life and you're not gonna have anything substantial. And I think I very much so fell into that belief of thinking, you know, I want to do music, but maybe I want to do hair or I want to do all these other things that I loved at the time and still love now, trying to figure out how I could do all of that with music. And I thought about this often from a very young age. So I think that's also why I very quickly was like, yes, I'm going to go to this college. I actually went for English education with a minor in choral studies, so like teaching a choir. And I was there for a semester and I was like, this isn't what I'm wanting to do. I played 30 shows or something like that in the month of December while also taking all of my finals. And I was like, this isn't it.
No.
This is not the life that I'm trying to live. I'm not trying to go to school for 4 years and get a degree that I don't intend on using. So you're paying all this money for something you don't really want and not do what I'm actually wanting to do. And I feel like I genuinely needed that semester to really come to that realization, which is unfortunate for my wallet, but it was necessary.
It is unfortunate, but the fact is, my mother did the same thing. You know, when I came on and said I wanted to be a bass player, she's like, "Yeah, you need a backup plan. You really need a backup plan." And I tried college twice. In fact, the last time I went, I had a full ride, had a
Right.
full complete ride.
Wow.
And the fact is, I was dealing with my dad, who had a drinking problem at the time, and I had moved back home. I had ended my marriage, so I was not in the best headspace to go to college. But I also sat there and said, I'm already doing broadcasting. I'm majoring in broadcasting. I already know how to do this. Why am I going to college for it? I got into
Right.
the industry without a degree.
Mhm.
And I think
Right.
that's where sometimes we luck into careers without it. I remember somebody told me, because I was doing mail file at an insurance company. And I said, "So how can I become an adjuster?" "Oh, you need a college degree." I became a claim supervisor. I worked in mail file and worked my way all the way up to claim supervisor. And I didn't have that degree. So I think when
Mhm.
people sit there and say, you need that piece of paper, it doesn't necessarily ring true. And all it does is, in some cases, like you said, hurt your pocketbook.
Right.
Fortunately, when my first foray into college, it was still reasonable. I think my first year of college was like $1,200 with books.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy
It
book.
was LSU Shreveport, and that was 2 semesters. That was my books. Yeah.
I remember buying books and being like, wow, that was not what I expected it to be. And my brother had actually gone to the college that I was attending and was like, go on to the Facebook thing and buy all used books. If it's a little bit off, it's a little bit off. You might suffer a little bit, but it's going to be so much more worth your money and not buying so much more for nearly the exact same thing. And I honestly enjoyed education. I do. I love being taught things, but I think life and being an adult is consistently being taught and teaching. Like
Mhm.
living is to learn and to teach. And I think once I realized that, that's when I felt a lot better about my choice to not continue to attend college. I am somebody that loves structure, and which is very ironic being in music, but I loved being taught different things. I didn't always do great at all the things, but I do love that being taught different things, which is perfect to what I do now.
But you said for music and structure. The thing is, there is structure, because if you're on the road, you have certain times you have to report to
Right.
the gig. You
Right.
have certain times you have to be somewhere to do a photo call or a radio interview. So
Right.
really, as much as you think it's not structured, there's a
There's
lot
some
of
chaos. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
it's maybe, yeah, it may be chaotic structure,
Right.
but there's still structure.
I think for me, the idea of like a 4 year and knowing what classes I needed to take and what that would lead to, and a degree supposed to get you a job and all these things was what really made me think that that was the best thing. But then I was like, I'd be going to a job that I don't even want. Like I'd be going in, and I don't want to be bitter and hellsworn trying to teach people, because then you're just giving them negative life experiences and nobody needs that. So I'm very grateful that for some reason we did 30 shows in December to do this Christmas thing, because I do love Christmas. And that was when I was like, I can't balance these two. I'm hardly able to even study for my finals. And honestly, I was at the point where I was like, I want to do well, but I don't even care how I do on them, because I'd rather focus on this. And that was when the my entire trajectory, I feel like, was like shot forward, because it was me needing that realization that I already knew, but just coming to terms with it.
And I think that's important, because there's some people. I went to when I was the receptionist at an insurance company, I worked with a girl who had a college degree, and
Right.
she was not, she's a file clerk. And my favorite one was when I was working at insurance, I had a guy who had just graduated law school, and I was his boss until he passed the bar. And then he got moved to a different unit. But I was just kind of like, how I'm not qualified to be his boss, but I was. And it's just one of those things where that piece of paper doesn't necessarily always equate to what we think it does, what we've been
Right.
sold it does.
Right. And I'm all for, if you want to do school, do school. And if you
Mhm.
want to live whatever way, like that's perfect as long as you're cool with it. And it is weird though how like sometimes you do need that and then you find out later you didn't.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes it almost seems like the people that are head CEOs didn't even do it, which is wild. And then you see the ones that have these crazy awesome degrees, and you're like, the compare and contrast of those individuals is so unique. And sometimes it's just luck of the draw.
I got into broadcasting and into radio because I won a pizza off the radio.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I became I ended up meeting the DJ at because his second job was at Musicland. We ended up becoming friends, and he let me come in and program the station. And he told my boss about me, and yeah, then I got into broadcasting.
That's
And I was
awesome.
working with jocks who went to school, but I didn't. And one of
Hmm.
them's just like, "You do better than some of the people I went to school with." The segues and everything. I'm like, okay. So I think sometimes we naturally fall into places where we didn't expect.
Right. It's where you meant to be at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, at that time, I actually had come back from vacation and said, I feel like my life is stagnating. And then my
Hmm.
friend calls me up. It's like, hey, my boss, I told my boss about you. He wants to interview you. So it was like, I claimed that I was bored. And here you go. The door is going to open for you. Just like you realized I got to do something different.
Hmm.
So is there anything, because I know this conversation's kind of gone all over the place, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you would like to add?
No, no, I feel like we've touched so many fun subjects and random, and I love it.
Good, good. Well, I wish you great success on your tour this summer and the singles that are coming.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You might have heard my voice hosting the Better Two podcast, but did you know I'm also the mastermind behind the Better to Burnout book series? The stories unravel the lives of Nigel Hartigan, the groovy bassist of Sambuca Fedora, the stunning singer model Ava Richards, and the suave record executive singer Russell Langford. Love, romance, and drama run rampant as their lives tangle up. But brace yourself, folks, because not every tale has a happy ending. Snag your copy today from most online booksellers. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Darian, when we talked about the fact that, I mean, we really discussed being an artist and the pitfalls and some of the just imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome can play on anybody. And I would even say in the corporate world, if you have a big presentation or a big meeting, that can get in your head. And how do I get out of it? Because people see me as one thing, but maybe I don't see myself as that. And I think that's really the root of imposter syndrome is that we don't see what other people see. And it can play with us because we may not have the confidence to achieve something, or at least not feel we have that confidence, even though we do. And sometimes we just have to push through and not overpaint, overwrite, block ourselves. We have to own ourselves and actually do what we need to do. And that is one of the biggest lessons we all have to learn in this life is to keep pushing through and to find our success. Now, as we were talking near the end, if college is for you, then do it. If you have a career path in college and it's going to make you be the person you want to be, then do it. But allow yourself to have some dreams. And if that's your dream career at the end of college, awesome. But if it's not, and if you're in a job, because I've talked to people that are in jobs that they can't stand, I was in a job that I couldn't stand. If you're in a position like that, you have to do something to compensate. And we talked about that there are days where she has to write. And yes, there are days where I have to write. And right now I am so distracted that I have not had that chance. But if we are allowed that chance to be creative, to be open to own our creativity, it ends up allowing us to explore life in a totally different way. It allows us to release that creative energy that's all built up and to find freedom. So I hope you check out Darian's new music. It should be dropping shortly if it's not already out, because we were talking about when this airs, and we're recording this in March, but it'll be out in May. And normally I don't say that, but yes, this is a little time difference. because yes, as I've talked about before, I'm going to be in the midst of a move. So I need to get as many episodes when my little studio closes and keep the podcast going for you guys. So there may be some time delays, but check her music out. She's got some really good songs, and I think it's definitely important to support smaller artists because this is her dream. And having the support of others is a great gift. So, on that note, and I thank you for supporting the podcast as well. On that note, as always, I'd like to thank Rich Zai of Third Ear Audio Productions for the sound. I'd like to thank Fast Susie for the music. And, well, I'd like to thank you guys for listening, for tuning in and being supportive. And if you want, leave a review. If you really like the show, leave a review and tell your friends because I'd love to grow the podcast. So, you know, let us know what you like. Let us know if you missed the old format. You know, is this season working for you? Do you like the stories with the musicians and the actors and, well, singers and writers? Or do you want to go back and have some more other stories put in here? Because I might turn it back a little bit into doing the podcast with those other stories. Maybe not as often, but if you miss them, maybe I'll bring them back. Just let me know. So, on that note, I hope whenever you're listening to this, I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, night, and a great weekend. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.